Sup guys, Juggalo here, and this video, it might be a rant to you guys, but in my opinion, I'm expressing myself why, okay? And I was contacted via comment on my YouTube channel on Don't Use Feezer 1 by the, I guess you want to call it manufacturer of this product and everything. Manufacturer is the Pfizer company, TFC. As you guys know, they made good radiators back in the day, but they don't make them anymore, or they're about to with the Admiral series, which should be in production or so. But alright, let's give you a rundown. Pretty much, I made a video called Don't Use Feezer 1. Explaining my frustration how this product clogged up my block and everything, and all that fun stuff, okay? And then they proceeded to say some noobs trying to build a loop with cheap components, question mark, and then they say funny. Basically, in my opinion, trying to be a smart ass. Alright. Now they joined in 2009, March 14th. I joined in 2006, but I was in the military at the time, so I didn't start making water cooling videos and all that stuff until 2008 and later to this date, which you guys know. Now, my question is why did this representative, since that's what you are, if you're leaving comments via from your main company, I guess you want to call it YouTube channel, you're a representative of that company. Alright, and why are they saying I'm using cheap components? Obviously, they didn't look at the build that I did for water cooling, okay? My water cooling loop was not cheap. It was probably $300 to $450 back in 2008, 2009 time frame. So 2009. Okay. And the products that I was using for my water cooling loop at that time was an EK base spin reservoir, an MCP 655 pump variable with a bits power top so I can mount it via in the drive bay. Alright, I had a Heat Killer 3.0 copper, and I had a Feezer 360 radiator. So when they are saying I'm using cheap components, they're in turn, they're saying their Feezer 360 radiator is cheap. So before you leave a comment, you should probably do your research on what the person was building if they have it, which I did. I had a log of what I was building. I had a log when I was filling it up. I had, EVGA classified motherboard, E579, all that stuff. So I'm just wondering why you're calling my water cooling loop cheap when obviously it wasn't. And on top of that, I'm using two of your products. It was like 20 or 25 bucks for the UV red coolant with anti-corrosive properties and non-conductive properties as well. And if you guys have seen my Don't Use Feezer 1 video, I was pretty pissed off about what happened and everything. And then for him to leave a comment that upset me a little bit, but I just got over it. I'm like, okay, but why are you leaving this comment? Okay, and then on top of that, you weren't there for the 15 minutes to the half hour I was cleaning my CPU block. You weren't there when I had to take apart my EK Bay reservoir and clean out all the staining that it left on the black acetal as well as the clear plexiglass on it, or acrylic. And I had to clean all that stuff out. Like the whole white shirt was covered in pink. Alright? You weren't there when I was cleaning my rad when chunks of Feezer UV1 coolant was coming out. And I did this for 35 minutes to an hour. And then on top of that, I sold this radiator to a buddy of mine. He proceeded to clean it because that was my advice. And he was still getting red chunks from the Feezer coolant out of it. And it's still to this day, even with them cleaning it, it's still stained within the radiator and everything. Okay. He also had a problem with the dye. It was UV blue dye. And he had a heat killer as well, except I had the heat killer 3.0, which was roughly back then $100 that my wife got me, and he had the heat killer LT or a model above that, and he took apart his heat killer and he had the same problem, but not as drastic as mine. He had clogging within the jet plates itself and everything. So we went and cleaned it up and everything, and then he sold it to a member on one of my forums that I'm part of, and everything was good to go. Alright, and there's a fellow Oceaner who has used Feezer coolant, had the same problem as me. There's an Extreme Systems guy who had the same problem as me, but his was way worse as far as the clogging goes and everything, okay? That's why I am such a strong pusher for distilled water, PT nuke, or use a silver coil. If you want color, get UV tubing, because any kind of dye that you use will stain your components. Example, an EK representative acknowledged that one of their coolants does stain the tubing and the blocks and all that stuff, so that's why I don't use it. Distilled water is non-conductive. Distilled water is cheap. It's like 78 cents or 98 cents for 1 gallon, okay? Then on top of that, the anti-corrosive properties in these coolants, you really don't need them. You would need them if you get a aluminum-based product in your loop. So if you were to mix brass and copper, or brass and copper, or copper and aluminum. I'm getting tongue-tied, I'm sorry. But if you were to get aluminum and then mix it with copper, brass, stainless steel, you would have galvanic corrosion. So don't get a aluminum product in your loop and you'll be fine. Pretty much. And that's why I'm pretty much pushed for the distilled water and PT nuke and silver coil. And if you want color, get UV tubing. I've got Primo Chill UV green, and if you see that in my half 932 build, it's pretty bright with the UV LEDs that I got, and I soldered them into place, or I soldered the 2 wires, the leads, the positive negative, onto a Molex, and it's pretty bright. Also, over time, the UV in a dye will will eventually fade within that loop, and then you would have to add more dye to it, okay? So pretty much this is a question of why. Why are you trying to leave a smart aleck comment when you didn't do your research? So more or less, in turn, you'll look like an idiot for saying I was using cheap components, but I was using your Feezer 360 radiator. So that's my stance on that. I pretty much won't use any distilled, or not distilled, but I won't use any coolants at all. I just use distilled water and PT nuke. That's all I use. And that's my stance on it, okay? And this is all coming from my mouth, my opinion, you know, my mind kind of deal. So I guess that's it. Comment, subscribe, rate this video, click that like button. Guys, have a great day.